Hey guys, welcome back. And now it's time for our community call out. And today is especially interesting because we're doing a Skype video call while we're recording the podcast. First time we've done this one, but the desperate times call for desperate measures, as they say. So anyway, as we launch into this here, I'm excited to introduce a good friend of ours and owner of the Coffee Shop of Horrors, Nick the Coffee Guy Sindicich. Did I get it right?
You got it right.
Got it right.
It was fine. You did very well.
So, Nick, thank you for taking some time to join us.
Sure.
We would have loved to have come to the coffee shop and met with you like we've done before, but we're all trying to do our best to not spread things around. I wanted to kind of start. We like to start the interviews by getting to we like to start the interviews by letting our audience know a little bit more about the guests. So could you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself personally and maybe how you started on this road towards owning not one but two coffee shops?
Well,
It's a long story.
It was kind of an accident, really. I mean, who am I? I don't know. I'm a guy that's been doing IT for 35 years, and
Oh, that's relatable.
that's my day job, and this was a hobby, and it was we loved coffee, and we had a bunch of friends. We loved going to conventions, and a lot of friends that are artists, and Roxana's favorite franchise is Alien, and
very
Little
good.
Shop of Horrors, of course, is an all-time favorite. I don't know, it was just a weird chain of events that just came about,
Right.
Wow, here we are now.
So did you have like prior experience with coffees and stuff, or
No, never been a
like
barista or anything. No.
That was one of my questions. Like, it was just because of your love of coffee that you're like, I'm going to start a new little venture here.
Well, a lot of it, friends had a lot to do with it. Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing is, I didn't drink coffee until I was in my mid-20s. I hated coffee.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's a lot of people do that, except for nowadays, the younger, generation is drinking.
But I think that's if you have someone in your life that knows good coffee and introduces you to good coffee young, you're going to get it young. I mean, that's why we have a lot of parents that come in here and they'll bring their kids, and their kids are like, "Oh, we love your coffee," and I hate the way my dad made coffee, and then we got your coffee, and it's awesome. And I'm like,
it's
cool.
It's refreshing to hear you say that because I always wondered if I was being like a bad parent, but I have let my kids drink coffee since they liked it. So forever, really.
I mean, my grandpa used to make the worst coffee on the planet.
Oh, really?
My dad was never really a coffee drinker. But my grandpa, it was like, God, what was Folgers Crystals instant coffee, and it was, oh my God.
Ooh,
so, the few times
cowboy
I had
coffee.
The few times I had it when I was younger, it was just like, oh my, this is god awful. How do you drink this every day? And then, I got older. I went out with some friends, and I was having a Coke or energy drink, a Red Bull or something. I don't remember what it was. They're like, you can't drink that here. You have to try coffee. And I'm like, I hate coffee. And they're like, oh, you just haven't had good coffee. And there we go.
How old were you when that happened?
Almost 25. I was probably pretty close to being 25 years old, 24-ish.
Wow, that's relatable for me because I never drank coffee in my life either. I always thought it smelled so good, but it tasted so bad. And it wasn't until my first kid, I was 30, and he was a colicky baby, and I felt like I was having some sort of a mental breakdown.
Right.
And somebody said, "Oh, I bet you're loaded up on coffee." And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try coffee. And I was like, this is amazing. This is like cured me of, trying to stay awake and such. And now I can't live without at least a few cups a morning.
So
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
The weird thing with me is you say you can't live without it. I can get up in the morning. I can have a cup of water, go about my day. When I was younger, coffee I needed in the morning. I had to have my coffee to get me going.
Yep.
I've drank too much coffee that I think I've desensitized myself from the coffee.
That's amazing.
Because I can go about my day. I don't get caffeine headaches. I don't get any of that. Don't get me wrong. It's my ritual. I love my coffee in the morning. Yeah. I love the taste of my coffee. But I don't have to have my coffee. Sometimes I have to just get rolling right away. And if I'm at the house doing something, I don't get a chance. We've got 3 different coffee makers in the house. I don't think I've turned one of them on because our coffee shop's 2 blocks from the house.
Yeah. Just wait till you get to work.
It is. But you just said something. It is kind of ritualistic. When I say I can't live without it, could I live? Yes. I mean, I've had like medical procedures where I'm not allowed to have coffee for whatever. But for me, and I really only drink, like I said, 2, maybe 3 cups a day. But it's something about sitting down with that cup of coffee, getting my head together for the day. Yeah. I'm sure part of it's the caffeine.
Yeah. Plus, it's your routine.
Well, it gets the neurons firing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, having that, and I don't call it a euphoric experience, but having that, the wonderful taste just come across your palate, and it's, it's familiar, and it gets you going. It really does, and it helps with the neurons firing in your brain. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah. I do too.
Wakes you up. So when you guys first started or got the idea for the coffee shop, what kind of research or certifications, like what kind of stuff was entailed in order to really kind of put it in place to be successful?
Well, I mean, I was already running a business. I mean, being that I do the IT and I've been doing that for a while, it was really, let's get some artist friends and let's source the product. I mean, that's really it. It's not, I mean, for us, I mean, it wasn't difficult, to get it moving forward. It was fairly simple. I mean, getting the art together and figuring out how to put it all together and make it work so that we could make to provide the online and everything else. And Roxana is a web developer and software developer.
Oh, nice.
I mean, she's a server admin, a DB admin, and all that. I mean, she has 4 degrees. She was in college for 9 years, but it's so as far as
Nice.
Putting all that together, I mean, it really wasn't that difficult. I mean, she is a graphic designer as well, so I mean, putting the website up was simple. The sourcing of the product was, probably the longest process, I guess.
Right.
We only had a dozen coffees in the beginning, so printing labels and everything else. We had a company in California that would print our labels for us, and now we have 53 varieties. We print the labels in house. We source the bags through a supplier and buy thousands of bags, every few months. And it's it's funny. It almost just happened. It just we just didn't really think too much about it. We just did it because it's kind of who we are. Really the big aspect is the bags, the coffee, and the labels. I mean, and then putting it online is fairly straightforward, even today's standards. We have customers walking in.
So I'll say what sort of a maybe a recap on how I found the place, because my daughter was doing a play over at the Mount Verde Theater, Mimi's community theater.
Yep.
And we during the when they were doing their rehearsals or whatever it was, or maybe she was doing like popcorn sales or something, I had sat through the show. I love Mimi's theater, and I sat through the show a bunch of times, but one of the times I was like, I write, and I'm gonna find a place. There's gotta be a little coffee shop nearby where I can go sit and write a little bit. And when I saw the outside of your first location over Mount Verde, I saw the skull, and I was like, this is insane. I don't even care if the coffee sucks. I got to go in here and try this place. And I was blown away at how good the coffee was. And I am not just saying that, but you and I had a nice little conversation about how coffee should never be bitter. I drink coffee black, so I feel like, no disparagement against those that don't, but you can really taste coffee when that's all that's in the cup.
I don't drink it black, but I do drink yours.
And I don't either. I mean, here's the thing, and I don't drink my coffee black either. And I've been drinking, like I said, I don't over sugar, and I don't over sweeten, and I don't over creamer it. I mean, I'll put a little bit to give it that little bit of the flavor that I like. I mean, everybody's different. Everybody does their own thing with their coffee.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you're going to hate me. I put creamer. And I said, that's how you drink it. That's how you drink it. But I always tell people, I said, if you've never had our coffee before, put a little less. Put a little less of what you're going to do. So put about half. Start off with half of what you would normally put in your coffee from anybody else. And see what you think. And, it's funny. I've had so many customers come back and go, you realize how little creamer and sugar I'm putting in my coffee now? And you realize that I can get up and I can actually have a cup of black coffee because your coffee is so smooth and good. And I'm like, I said, I know. I mean, sure, I could drink it black, and I do enjoy it black, but I enjoy it a little bit. I use sweet and low, so I put a little sweet and low, a little bit of cream. That's just the way I like it. So I don't like it over sweet, but I like it
Yeah.
I'm hoping you're not hearing the customers behind me or not.
We
We
can,
can,
but
but
that's
it's okay.
It adds to the sound of
To the
the coffee shop.
ambiance.
Yeah.
So I have so now you said like 53 varieties of
Yeah.
coffee. So how do you go about finding those? Do you order some, try it yourself? Do you hear about it from other places? How do you?
Well, we we work with one importer.
Okay.
Same one we've used for 15 years. They're mom and pop like we are. They've been doing it for over 40 years. I would say probably 45. Their kids are involved in the business. They're the largest private importer of beans on the East Coast out of Wilmington, North Carolina. So they're right at the port. When we went in search of coffee, looking for someone to roast for us and things like that, because it's a hobby, I looked into buying a roaster, professional high-end roaster, something you're going to put in a warehouse and do, bulk. It can be $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. And I'm like, this is hot. Plus insurance, plus the rent, plus the everything. And I'm like, well, then I got to learn how to use it. And I'm like, all right, this is a hobby. We're doing this stuff on the weekends. No, too much involvement. So we went looking for somebody that would work with us, that would roast for us, that would provide us with quality. And we tried probably, probably close to a dozen different roasters. And this one stood out. And then as we started talking to them more, realizing that they're the direct importer, they weren't someone who was buying raw beans and roasting them. They were the ones importing the beans. So I guess the best part of our product is that being that they're the importer and they distribute to more than just us, their inventory is always turned over. So it's always fresh green beans. It's never just sitting in a warehouse where some guy goes out, I got a great deal on these beans. I'm going to go buy 1,000 pounds of them, put them in a warehouse, and I'll roast them over the next 6 months, where they're sitting just going bad. We're actually, it's kind of funny, about 3 years ago, we were adding another coffee, another variety, and it was not our 53rd. It was probably our 46th or something like that, just a random number there. And they're like, well, for our largest customer, we'll do whatever you want. And we're like, what? And they're like, oh, yeah, you're kind of our biggest customer, and we order, anywhere between 1,000 and 4,000 pounds of beans a month.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
It's a considerable amount and small batch. All small batch, all at 5-pound increments, depending on what it is. And now sometimes for our more popular ones, we'll do 20 pounds or 40, but they come in 5-pound bags. But that's how we get them. And it's just, it's weird to look now and see how much we order compared to years ago.
When you first started.
Wow, it's just amazing.
And
so can you go ahead, Angie?
I was going to say, and that's how you keep it fresh, because what do you say that coffee shouldn't be more than how many days old?
Well, no, it's not a matter of shouldn't be. We don't sell anything over 30 days roasted. That doesn't have anything to do with how long it'll keep. That absolutely has to do with our model and what we want. I just want to make sure that people have the freshest coffee when they walk out the door. Yeah. That coffee will keep, depending on how you keep it, where you keep it, things like that. It could keep up to a year. If you put it in a deep freezer in the garage, things like that, and you're not opening, you don't put it in your freezer at home. Because as you open and close the freezer door, moisture gets in and whatever. But if you get a deep freezer in the garage, probably keep it for a year or more. But cool, dark place in the house is your standard. And we've got customers that buy every 6 months. Sorry, phone.
Really? They must buy a lot, because we go through it quick when we've gotten to the point to where when we go get coffee from you, that becomes our sort of special occasion coffee, because we're going to tear through it. Yeah. And I tell my son, stop drinking the good coffee.
There are a couple of photos on the coffee shop page where it's a panorama of their kitchen and all the bags they bought at one of our shows.
Oh, how
so they'll come and buy 30 bags, and they'll be across the whole kitchen. And they're like, these are all our favorites, and this way we don't have to worry about waiting for our favorite. If we go to get it, we can always have what we want. And it's
very nice. I have a question. Is La Llorona? Am I saying that right, by the way?
La Llorona.
La Llorona.
So that's one of our favorites.
If I were Spanish, it would be La Llorona.
Okay, all right. And I wonder sometimes I know where a lot of those are from or what sort of horror theme they're based on. Right. But before we get into that, because I want to talk about the bags for a minute,
Right.
I know it may be a story you've revisited, but I'm just genuinely curious. You said, hey, let's do this. You did some research. You found, the beans you wanted. Like, how did you decide on your location? When did you say, okay, I think we should really actually pull the trigger here. I want to decorate the place like this because I think it's hard to drive past that place without stopping.
I know. Well, here's the thing. Where we're at, we live here in town. We live in Montford. So we're literally 2 blocks away.
Okay, well, there's the answer. Wow.
5 years ago,
yeah.
From, we were in the house. We had a bedroom dedicated to it, and we ran out of room. It was just too big. I mean, we had 40 some odd varieties of coffee.
Oh, you were running this out of your house for a while.
Oh, yeah. Well, we did a lot of events. We didn't have 10 years. We ran it out of the house.
Wow.
5 years ago, we weren't even in this spot. We were about 100 yards away from the Montford location now, and we were in the old post office in town. And our good friend Matt moved in from Sideshow Sauce, and he was doing screen printing, and he was doing our T-shirts, and he was doing his T-shirts and hot sauce, all kinds of stuff. And then we were doing, of course, the coffee up front, and the packaging and shipping and everything out of there. And then, it's there was no service. I mean, it was all free samples. You could come in, and we had free coffee signs. Everybody, you're the free coffee people, and we're like, yes, you've seen our sign. And, because we didn't have food service, we didn't want to have to worry about that kind of license. We had business license, but we weren't ready for the food service side of things.
Yeah.
We just needed to get out of the house and get our feet under us. Now, with that location, you can come in, get a free cup of coffee, much like most of our shops put out 2 different ones every day. We would have some muffins that we would bring in, at that point. And, people could get a muffin and a coffee, and it was all donation. The muffin, we'd sell them. The coffee was free. Muffin being prepackaged, I could sell them. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But with the coffee, they would usually do a suggested donation, whatever you want to call it, $1, $2. And it's just 2 years after that, we were like, all right, well, we kind of either need to poop or get off the pot. I'm going to say it the nice way. You know what I'm saying? So we were like, okay, well, let's move over here. Literally 150 yards away on the main road, which the main road here is traffic. It's not a big deal, but it is the scenic byway. It is a roadway that motorcyclists and cyclists and anybody that's a driving enthusiast likes to come down. So we're like, all right, and then we were able to build it out, put a little kitchen in it, and start baking, start making cookies and muffins and brownies, and when we have it, Roxana's quiche.
All the good stuff that goes with coffee.
Oh,
so good. The soft serve with coffee ice cream even has a story behind it, because when we were in the old shop, I told my wife, I said, we need to do soft serve coffee ice cream. And she's like, why? I'm like, why not? I'm like, what do you mean why? Why not is a better reason.
It's like a dessert, and then kids will like that a little bit better sometimes. Yeah.
Well, I will say this too, because your staff are great, and they're good about getting you to try. Like, I went in there like, no, dude, I just want a regular black coffee. And by the time I left, I was like, all right, we got to buy this one. We got to buy that one. We got to come back and try. I tried the soft serve, which I never would have tried in a million years, and it's amazing. And I tried a cold brew, which I do not like cold brew, but I have to stick sort of a caveat in that because I really liked it. So I don't know if it's, I don't know why it tastes so different. Maybe you could tell us. And while you're doing that, Angie, I got to fix a power problem.
Because we only do one thing in our coffee shops. We only do one thing.
That?
Awesome.
Yes, you really do. Well, that's the thing, too. The first time Dan brought me in, they had me do the same thing where they were having me try all the different or the 2 different kinds that you had out. And I think he even grabbed some extra and had me try some different kinds. Right. But he was so passionate about describing it. It was like when somebody's describing wine to you, I was like, well, this is a different experience. We've
been doing that. Here's the thing. When we first started doing conventions and giving away the coffee, because we do a convention, we give away samples.
Yes.
The whole show. We continue to brew. It's not like, when it's out, you're done. The people come and go, why do you give it away? And I'm like, well, because otherwise I'm just some guy saying I got great coffee. I was like, how do you know? Unless you try it, And my statement, which is kind of a play on an older statement, is I put my money where your mouth is.
So I like that.
Yeah,
But you know,
it's kind of
that is a that's how you know somebody has a good product. If they are offering you a free sample, they have enough confidence that you're going to like the product, that you're going to
right.
take some home, you know? And
Yes.
even if you aren't a coffee drinker and aren't going to buy a bag, you're going to tell somebody else about it that is a coffee drinker.
Yes.
That, oh,
Absolutely.
hey, I had this coffee and I think you would really like it, you know? So that is a great model to kind of go by. Now, you said whenever you first started, you were doing it out of your home and you were going to conventions, and that was your main source. What kind of conventions were you selling at? I mean, I think I already know the answer to this, but
Of course, yeah. I mean, Spooky Empire. We had done Dragon Con for a little while. We would do Jekyll Island Comic Con in Jekyll Island, Georgia.
Oh, what? I never
fun.
heard of that one. That's cool.
Yeah. This past year was the last year they're doing it at Jekyll Island. It's kind of sad because it was a really fun con. It was a nice little getaway weekend, and it was because
Like a
it was
vacation.
it was kind of like a little vacation. We usually just stay an extra day before or after, and just kind of hang out and go to the local pub. Bye, guys. Thank you. Sorry, I'm at work. So.
Oh no, it's fine.
New customers coming in. They just got to say goodbye and hello.
Of course,
that's
of
one of our
course.
big things. Is we're a family business. We always want it to be a family feel. We don't exist without our customers. Without them, we don't exist. Period.
Yeah.
And that's I tell all of our employees, I'm like, anybody coming through that door is your potential next best friend.
Yep.
That's right.
Treat them as such. I said,
You definitely feel like that when you come in too. 100%. Like all
and
of
that's
your
the right way to treat people. I mean, no matter what, it's the right way to do things.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that because we have friends that we've made doing this, and we have unknowingly gone in there, and they're in there like the KitchenKillaz. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know you guys are going to be here.
It's a very small world.
Yeah,
very, very small.
It seems to be. But let's talk about the decor in there for a minute because it's really hard to describe. And I'm really talking about both of the original Coffee Shop of Horrors and then am I going to get this right? Because Jonesy's Escape.
Yes.
You got it right.
That's the name of the second shop for those of you listening. So,
by the way, Chris says hi.
Oh, hi, Chris. Thanks.
He just walked by and said, "Tell him I said hi."
Yeah, he's the one that got me to try all that stuff.
I know.
But so for you guys listening here on the podcast without the video, I guess either with or without the video, in the original Coffee Shop of Horrors, it's decorated up almost like a Halloween shop. There's like trees in there, like spooky, haunted-looking trees. There's lots of art.
That's the dark forest.
It's the dark forest. Oh,
I like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
And Tavares is Jonesy's Escape, and Jones is Ripley's cat from Alien. Hence Jonesy's Escape, because it's
always
the secondary character that survived the movie.
Yes, exactly.
And that shop is decorated to reflect that.
There's a great big alien on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, both the places, I love it because it's to me, it's like a twist of sci-fi and horror.
Yeah.
And the video games and the whole, I don't know, the whole vibe. It's very cool. It reminds me, and now with the new location, you actually serve beer and wine too, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So it's got a really neat target audience to me. I think I am definitely the target audience when you're playing video games and drinking.
A lot of people target audience.
Yeah. And there's video games in there, and there's a very cool Game of Thronesy looking table that I love. And it seems like that area, is it drawing in a lot of younger kids that are kind of coming in and hanging out?
We're getting a good mix. I actually, before all this happened, we had kids coming in on Sunday, a little D&D group. They would sit and hang out, and their parents would drop them off, and they would play Dungeons and Dragons and munch on muffins and pizzas and sandwiches, and have their thrillers, the coffee milkshakes, and everything else.
Yeah,
it was awesome. I mean,
that's cool.
The crowd is very diverse. I mean, from very old to very young.
Yeah.
I have a gentleman who, while his wife's at work, he's a single father. Well, he's not a single father, but he comes in, he's taking care of the kids. The wife's wherever. Yeah. He'll come in, he's got a newborn almost, maybe a month old, 2 months old.
Oh, wow.
And then a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And he'll come in, he'll get his thriller, his milkshake coffee, and a sandwich. and a couple of little muffins for the kids to share. The older kids will play video games while he sits on the couch with the baby and has his coffee and just relaxes, you know. Just
like the perfect dad hangout.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's a perfect vibe for that too. And just again for our listeners, the new location has like a whole side of it is couches and little coffee table kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like a bunch of little living rooms there. I love that.
Yep.
And you even have like live entertainment in that one as well.
We have a stage. Yep, we've done multiple multiple bands. We've had open mic. We've done karaoke one night. We've had some fun. It's cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're looking forward to more of that stuff when you guys open back up. I know you guys support the arts, and so you have these really cool paintings in both of your shops. But on the wall at the new location, who did those paintings? Because they're pretty darn awesome.
the Alien Queen is Morgan Wilson from Lux Nova Studios, and the big alien, not alien from the movie Aliens, but the classic style alien that's sitting more like a Zen yogi, floating amongst the cosmos there. That is, what do you call it? Mark Hadley from Studio Hadley. And they both have bags of coffee with us. They both done artwork for us. And they're good friends. I mean, that's the thing is all the artwork and all the bags are friends of ours. They're people that we know, people that we've, gone to dinner with, hung out with, drank with, gotten in trouble with sometimes, but, never bad. Just, minimal trouble, kind of slap on the wrist kind of stuff.
And you said the first one was Morgan Wilson?
Morgan Wilson from Lux Nova Studios, and the other one is Mark Hadley from Studio Hadley.
Awesome. We'll put links in the show description to both of their sites so people can find out more about them. Do you have a link on your website about the artists that do the bags?
In each of the descriptions that art-wise, it should. If you read the descriptions, it'll say who did the artwork and stuff.
Awesome. So what we're talking about, if you're not familiar, is every one of the bags, and like Nick said, these are 5-pound bags, but every one of them
half-pound.
What are they?
Half-pounders on the shelf.
He buys the 5-pound bags.
I said 5-pound bags, and we got 2 of them in the kitchen, and I know they're not 5 pounds.
Well, you wouldn't be buying coffee for a while. It'd be awfully expensive, too. But it's okay.
They're half-pound bags, which also keeps them fresh longer, in my opinion. But you talked about people putting them in the freezer, and I'm thinking, I guess if you buy a lot of them, maybe, but they don't last very long around here.
Well, you gotta
think. Yeah, well, you got to think. A lot of people are coming, like when he's at conventions, they might be from out of town, and they're probably, picking them up a bunch while they're there.
We always tell them that we ship, but then they're like, oh, but we love buying them from you guys when we're here. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'd rather go to a place and get it. I don't know. I'm just like that.
Of course. Me too. But once you drink it and you need it and you want it, then you
got to order it.
But the artists that are that do the art for you, what we're talking about for those listening is every one of these little half-pound bags that have the different names of the coffee, but there's a piece of art. The whole sticker or the whole side of the bag is like horror-themed drawings and paintings, and they're done really well. I mean, to the point to where it'd be interesting to actually just have full prints of a lot of them. Right. There's a Frankenstein on one of them that we drink, and I get to know that. This is terrible, but I get to know the ones I want by the sticker
picture,
and not by the name. So I know one of them's Frankenstein.
The one he's talking about is Reanimator. That's our morning.
That's right, Reanimator, and then
he knows them by heart.
And the one I pronounce wrong all the time has what looks almost like a nun on it.
La Llorona.
Right. La Llorona.
So those are my 2 favorites.
We weren't saying that right at all, by the way.
Yeah, not my Sharona.
I was saying La Lorna, and we even made like a couple of plugs for the shop for the show, and I was pronouncing it La Lorna. So,
we butchered it.
There you go. Now I know. Jeez.
So with all small businesses, Nick, we run into some challenges, right?
Yes.
We're in midst of one of those challenges right now.
Well, this isn't a challenge. This is a fiasco. A challenge I can handle all day long. A fiasco is a fiasco.
Yeah, you seem pretty easygoing, and challenges will just kind of come and go. But how are you guys doing?
Terrible, but we're hanging in there. Being honest, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It's bad. We have a great fan base. We have awesome customers, and we are getting support. Don't get me wrong. They're coming in. It's definitely a lot less than it was. We're probably depending on the day, but on average, I think we're probably 60%, 70% lower than we were normally.
Yeah.
Especially in Taveri's. Taveri's was open a month from the grand opening. I mean, we've been open 2 months technically, but really from full hours or, more hours, our normal, until anyways. Taveri's is the one that's really hurting right now.
Yeah.
So let's tell our audience what you guys are doing during this time to sort of make it easier, because I know you're doing like a curbside thing, aren't you?
Yep, we are doing curbside. You can still come in and get your coffee. Nobody here. I mean, the great thing about Montverde, nobody's sick. There's 0 cases in Montverde.
Yeah.
We're cautious. We wash our hands. We're in food service a million times a day.
Very small town too. Yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We're 2 square miles, 1,500 people.
Yeah.
And I do have, in doing this as long as I have, and doing events and venues and so forth all over the state, I have a lot of friends in law enforcement, fire departments, things like that.
Sure,
and I keep an eye on beyond the CDC site, the WHO site, and everything else. I don't follow the news. I mean, the news is just silly. I'd rather go right to the source, CDC usually.
Yep. Yeah. It's funny. I made a post this morning about media overblowing, whether some of them do or some of them don't. You can't go wrong by listening to the CDC and the experts.
Correct. Exactly. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, now if somebody says something outside of that, I'll research it. I'll go,
Sure.
Okay, you can search. The CDC's search is pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was one thing I did realize and like. We're curbside for sure. You can still come in and pick up to go. You can call ahead order. We do have handhelds to go out and, if you want to pay outside. Montverde's a little less. I don't have one here. But in Taveri's, we do have a handheld that works outside that we can come take your payment, bring it out to you and everything else.
Cool.
It's, we're muddling through it. I mean, even as we have the greatest employees, I think. I have 2 employees that have pretty much said, we'll work for free, just feed us. And we're like, what do you mean? They're like, just make sure we have food, we'll work, we'll come in our normal hours.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Because they know, I mean, I just got to pay the bills. If I can keep the lights on and pay the lease. I mean, with Taveri's is the harder one because it's got much bigger bills because it's a much bigger space.
Of course.
The idea is to make sure they have a job that's going to be there when all of this is over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't want them to work for free. Being honest,
No.
I mean, I told them, we'll log your hours. I said, I will pay you what I can. I said, and in the end of all of this, when we go back to normal, we'll catch up and
compensate.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you have employees like that, though, because
I think so too, yeah.
that's you can tell that's a real family knit community that you've created there. In the fact that they would do that, because that's what family does, right?
Yeah. We go to dinner together, we hang out together, we do, we get drunk together. I mean, it is a family. We yell at each other like normal people do,
Yeah,
it's a family.
Like a normal family.
But in the end, we're still cordial.
But what does that say about you as a person and the business as a whole, that you have employees willing to do that? And that kind of really coincides with the vibe I got the first time I came in there. You came over, stood at the table, told me all about the coffees, told me to try this one, that one. And so above and beyond just the coffee being so much better than a lot of those chains, really any of them I've ever been to, that combined with the atmosphere, combined with, how nice all of you guys are, I think we really appreciate what you're doing. We're excited to get back and get more coffee from you. And I want to encourage our listeners to order coffee if they can't make it to you, or to go by and get some curbside takeaway. For those that can't get to you for whatever reason, you can just order coffee directly off of your website.
Yep, absolutely.
And you guys will ship it.
Ship it all over the world, internationally as well.
Oh, excellent.
So let's go. I just want to talk about that, because do you remember like your first international shipment that you sent out? I feel like that always sticks with people sometimes, or, the first big order.
I can remember some of our first international sales. Not necessarily online, but at conventions, because now, and I say that there were people from overseas that still order from us to this day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was Dragon Con. It was actually, gosh, why did I just draw a blank on his name? My wife's a huge fan of his. He's one of the actors. He's oh gosh darn it, the British guy from Babylon 5. He was the oh gosh darn it.
You would know
I'm
this
trying to
better.
remember his name.
I don't. I don't. This is the one I could do. Battlestar Galactica and even
Right.
Firefly.
Not
Star
Babylon
Trek.
5. Come on.
I don't know it. I really don't know.
I'm gonna not. Hopefully, did my camera kick out? I'm hoping not.
No. We can see you.
All right, because I'm gonna Google search because I'm on my computer.
Because it's going to drive you crazy if you can't.
I know. We'll have it here in a second.
All right. So while you're pulling that up, so I have another question too. You guys said you bake your own stuff. You have like brownies and cakes and things like that, and they're delicious. We've had them at the new location there.
Mm-hmm.
You also have those keto-friendly snacks, and that was another thing that brought me back. I have to admit, I know it's in partnership with a local business, but usually, as Angie and I have done like everyone and dieted on and off, everything I was eating when we were on the keto diet, as far as sweet stuff, was terrible. And I was blown away that these were keto-friendly. I brought them back to the house, and everyone, including my kids, was like, "What?
I need this."
Right. So they thought I was lying, and it wasn't actually keto-friendly. Can you tell us maybe give us a quick plug for that other local business, and we'll put a link in the show.
Yep. It is they're over in Mount Dora, and it is Crave Bakery.
Crave Bakery, got it. Do they sell to the public, or do they just sell to businesses?
They do sell to the public. They also do wholesale. So if somebody wants to do wholesale, they can do wholesale with them as well. They came to us and approached us back when they first started, which wasn't more than a year ago, really. And they brought in some samples, and I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And as again earlier, we only do one thing in our shops, and that's awesome. I won't put something that's just mediocre. I mean, it's not worth it.
Oh, that's awesome. It's a good time to plug my book then. No, I'm just kidding.
Why not? So, by the way, it is Marcus Cole. The name of the character. Jason Carter is the gentleman who's the actor.
Okay.
So, and he was Babylon 5. And he was one of our, I think, first customers that we would ship regularly overseas. Also, current, I don't know if you know the TV series Siren.
No.
No.
So bad about that.
The main.
Is it like a sci-fi kind of show?
No, like it's more realistic. Local. What I don't know what you want to call it. Today it's current, I guess.
Yeah.
So you're looking at I'm trying to look up to see what station it's on. But I forget. Anywho. One of the actors in it is a friend that we met at an event, and he's now like one of our biggest fans.
Really?
We met his then fiance, as far as that goes, and now why am I not finding his info on here?
So while you're looking that up, I have to ask you about the Babylon 5 actor again. What was his name again? Babylon 5?
Jason Carter.
Jason Carter. Okay, I just wanted to take a quick peek and see if I may know him from something else.
Yeah, he's been in a few things. He actually, Babylon 5 had some weird things happen to some of the characters. Some of them passed away, natural causes. And he started some charities and stuff like that. He's a really awesome person. We met him at the bar. Initially,
nice.
I told him what we did, and then we were drinking with him. And the next morning, he came down to get the coffee and was just so impressed that he just wound up being a customer at that point.
Oh, I love that. Did you recognize him already? Did you know who he was from the show?
Oh yeah, I knew. Well, yeah, it's one of the reasons we went and sat with him at the bar.
Oh, very nice. I wasn't sure. Sometimes there's so much makeup and prosthetics for these guys in those kinds of shows.
No, this one he actually didn't have makeup. He didn't wear makeup or anything, and as his character, which was the excellent thing. It was kind of neat. Why am I not finding him on here?
That is very neat. All right. Well, while Nick's looking that up, let's see if we can drill in with some more questions and distract him. So you said you have like karaoke in there. I know we've seen the KitchenKillaz in there, so you have bands in there.
Oh, yeah.
The one day we were there, I think you guys had like 5 or 6 bands in a row in there.
That was the grand opening.
Grand
opening.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really cool. But you also do like open mic night type stuff in there?
We do. Come in and lay out your soul.
And so that's anything really. You can do stand-up comedy or read poems or whatever. That is cool.
Yeah.
I would love to go during one of those. I've never been to anything like that.
Yeah, maybe you could do a reading from one of your books.
Oh, that's true. If I could muster up the courage. I
And
do have alcohol in there, though, so I might be able to.
Yeah. You could get a little bit of a social lubricant, yes.
There you go.
Yes, yes. So, Nick, what are future plans for either of the locations after we kind of get through this little hiccup in life right now?
Yeah.
What are your future plans for moving forward?
Have a lot more fun.
I love that.
We have a lot of fun as it is. I mean, that's one of the big ones. I mean, the Montverde shop, we do Super Smash Brothers tournaments. We have car show. We do like a cars and coffee kind of thing where, people come out and, just hang out, and talk and show off their, whatever. We don't care. We're not like, oh, it's got to be a classic, or oh, it's got to be a muscle car, or oh, it's got to be this. Just if you're proud of it, bring it. That's kind of the way we look at it. If you're a motorhead, whether it be motorcycle or car or truck or whatever, bring it. We're excited to have any of it because we are all about vehicles and stuff like that too. I mean, I'm weird.
You're weird.
You know what?
I have to say it. I mean, when I was in high school, I was center on the football team. I was president of the computer club. I was in auto mechanics and marine mechanics and electronics.
Holy smokes!
I knew everybody from the stoners to the preppies.
Yep.
And everybody knew me, and I could just slide into any one of those and just.
You're like the chameleon.
Pretty much. I mean, but I was never not myself. Even being that way, I was never not myself.
I love that.
I was clickless, I guess, if you want to call it that. I didn't worry about the clicks, and in that, I was always the one that people came to when something was going wrong. It was always like, Nick, and I'm like, well, what? I was then relegated to the title of Uncle Nick because everybody would come to me.
Oh gosh, you were the therapist in high school. Is that what it is?
Well, not just that, but I mean, the principals liked me. They would call me in to fix their computers, and it was weird. I remember in middle school, I would get called out of class. We need you to go to the principal's office, and they're like, everybody's like, ooh, you know how they are in 8th grade.
Yeah.
I go in, and the principal's like, my computer's not working, or I got this new program and we don't know how to install it. So of course, who would they call? Me.
That is amazing. Now, did you go to school down here, Nick, or
South Florida?
South Florida. Okay, cool. So, that's awesome, though.
I guess I should say maybe jack of all trades instead of chameleon, but that's awesome. That is rare. I see what you mean by weird, because I was going to say, we're weird too, but I don't, there was a little clicky here where I'm from, maybe not horribly, but it was
clicky by me too. I mean, it was very clicky with me too.
You could just traverse the different groups. Yeah.
I think that's all schools though. I think that's especially that age group. You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to find their place, and you wish everybody could be like that, where they could just kind of go around.
I hate to say it because it still goes on these days. I think a lot of it is prejudice. Why clicks happen, in that respect. I never had that, I never had that prejudice, and I never accepted that. I mean, it was around, but I just don't. It's just not, it's stupid.
Yeah,
it's not in you.
People are people.
And you know what? Even as an adult, that's a really good way to sort of wrap that whole description of that, because it's prejudice for all different kinds of reasons. Yeah. And I think I think you raise a good point that it's never good in any way. That's never justifiable to be prejudiced. Everyone's different, and even the people you think you've sort of figured out, when you get to know them, you were wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Skeleton in the closet.
Avoid anything that causes division.
Yeah. I agree.
But just got to go with the flow, so to speak.
Yeah. So we started this podcast because we wanted to help build up the community, basically bring community together, get involved in the community, whatever, can just help in some way. Yep. So how do you guys get involved in the community at Coffee Shop of Horrors, or individually? What are you doing?
Well, we work with the Main Street Mouse, which in turn works with Give Kids the World. We work
Dan loves that.
Yeah, absolutely. We work with Bras for a Cause. We work with wounded officers. Our shops, even since our first shop that we moved into, Montverde's it's a very broad income-based town.
Yeah.
Not Montverde, but Montverde. It's what do you call it? Just outside of these town limits, which is still Montverde zip code, is trailer park, and there are some kids that are a little less fortunate and things like that. And we've always offered, if they want like $1 peanut butter and jelly, and a lot of times it would just be a free peanut butter and jelly if they didn't have $1. We didn't really care, and we try to give back anywhere we can. I mean, we've been fairly fortunate in our lives. I mean, we're not rich by any means, but we give back what we can when we can, and
love it.
That's just the right way to be. I mean, that's the way we've always been. And my young past, I ran away from home when I was very young, lived on the streets, and worked my way back up. Took a while and took a lot of work and a lot of stumbling and picking myself back up, but I got there. And I was thankful, that in my life, even with some of the people that I knew or grew up with that were not really the best individuals, some of their bad habits didn't rub off on me, thankfully, and I just never went down that path, the dark rabbit hole.
Sure.
It's we had a good friend who's still a friend now, I went to high school with, that started doing crack and in high school, and we literally, thankfully the statute of limitations I'm sure has run out. We beat the crap out of him whenever we that he was high, and I mean literally bleeding, beat the crap out of him, and he stopped doing it. And now he's a father of 2 kids. He's running a U-Haul, and we're at U-Haul Center and whatever, and he's doing really well. I mean, he's got a great life, and but he could have gone down a completely different path. He could have been dead. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
And,
but you guys did that because you cared. Yeah.
Right. Not because we were, wanted to beat him up. It was because we cared about him.
That's how teenage boys sometimes show that they care for each other, getting back to those primitive instincts, kind of.
There's never any hospitalization at the meeting. No.
Just enough to let him know that
bloody lip kind of thing,
Sure.
A little reminder in the mirror when he woke up in the morning.
I think, in a way, I guess it's good. It taught him to be afraid of continuing to do that,
Negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
It works sometimes.
It does. It does. Why do you think we have jail?
Yeah, for sure.
That's right. I mean, that is right.
Well, Nick, thanks so much for taking the time to sit and chat with us. And we will continue to help in any way we can. We really want to make sure you guys are okay through this, tough time for local business, for small business. So we'll continue to encourage everyone that we know.
Yep.
And we'll also continue to come by and get coffee from you guys. And we look forward to seeing you in person again soon.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you guys. We miss you.
Yeah.
All right.
Same.
We'll be there the day that we can be there.
We really will.
It's coming soon. It's going to be. It'll be all right. So.
I feel like that too. We're hoping that we don't have too much of this left.
I think we're about a month out.
I think so too.
I guess it's going to peak really soon, and then they're going to get a handle on it. I think.
Start drifting. Yeah, drifting away. All right, Nick. We'll let you get back to it. And again, thank you so much for sitting and chatting with us. And we will see you soon.
Awesome. You guys have a wonderful day.
Bye.
You too. Take care, Nick. Bye. And for those of you listening, stand by and we'll be right back with the information station.